Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today we're going to be doing a hatha yoga session. So we'll be holding some poses for a moment and then moving into other poses as we progress. Not really a lot of a flow, just a relaxing movement to open the body, get us started. So we'll go ahead and find a comfortable position to relax the body, whether that's seated for you or lying down. Adjust my volume to make sure you can hear me. All right. I'm going to start seated, but feel free to lie down if that feels better for you. Finding that comfortable posture where the body feels symmetrical right to left. Balance top to bottom. If it feels comfortable for you, go ahead and close the eyes. Otherwise, just find a soft spot to gaze. Starting to relax through the crown of the head. Allowing the body to start to soften. Finding the eyes and letting them relax in the sockets. Releasing through the cheeks, the ears, and the scalp. Letting them hang toward the floor. Starting to soften through the throat and the jaw. Letting the space for the breath release and relax. See if we can relax the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Leave some space between the upper and lower teeth. Making room. Finding ease. Start to follow the breath through the nose and the throat. See how low the breath can drop into the body. Starting to release from the belly, maybe holding a hand on the belly and holding a hand on the rib cage on the side. Feeling the belly drop away from the hand as the breath comes down. Feeling the breath expand through the belly, the ribs, and the chest. And feeling that exhale soften everything back toward the spine. Inhaling, dropping the breath down, inflating through that space of the belly, ribs, and chest. And exhaling, letting the breath get pressed back up and out through the nose. Maybe the hands stay here, maybe they release. Continuing with that diaphragmatic breath, letting the breath get pulled down, expanding through the space, the belly, ribs, and chest. Inhaling, exhaling easily. Two more breaths like this. And we'll start to relax the shoulders, letting the arms relax from the shoulders to the fingertips. Softening through the rib cage and the chest. Feeling the breath still moving through those spaces. Relaxing through the shoulder blades, maybe allowing them to drift a little further apart across the back. Relaxing down through the spine, across the hips, letting the glutes sink deeper into the floor. The hips soften, maybe a little wider than they were before. Relaxing down through the belly, the pelvis, and the groin. Letting the legs start to soften and feel heavy, all the way from the hips to the ankles. When we soften through the feet and the toes, imagine the body taking up a little more space than it did before. Releasing any constriction or restriction. And we'll start to come back to the breath. Again, feeling the breath drop through into that belly space. Maybe feeling the expansion of the belly front to back, side to side. Same with the ribs. Feeling the expansion, not just top to bottom, front to back, and side to side. Keeping the breath spaces soft and open. Allowing the breath to move those muscles instead of forcing the breath into those spaces. And as we release the space for the breath, everything starts to feel open. Almost like the body is breathing with us. Feeling that connection through the breath and the body. And we'll move this into our Ujjayi breathing. Everything stays the same except for we have a gentle constriction through the throat, almost like the sound of ah. If you need to, we can keep the mouth open for this. Eventually, trying to make the same sound with the mouth closed. Feeling the breath scraping across the back of the nose and throat. Feeling the breath move through the belly. All of those things stimulate our vagus nerve, allowing the nervous system to relax, releasing any tension. Three more Ujjayi breaths. Thinking about lengthening our exhales as we practice today will keep our nervous system soft and relaxed. If we're seated, we can go ahead and release the breath, Same as if we're lying down. But seated, we're going to move into a gentle cat-cow for a few rounds. Inhaling as we lift the chin, open the chest and shoulders, arching the spine, and exhaling as we round. If we're on the floor, slowly bending the knees and starting the same movement through the space of the spine, pressing the tailbone into the floor, opening the chest and the chin, exhaling, letting the body round, tucking the chin down. Just moving gently through that spinal space as we breathe with the movement, exhaling as the spine rounds, chin tucks. Inhaling as we arch and lengthen through the front. 2 more rounds like this. Maybe continuing with Ujjayi breath if that feels right for you. Last round. And we'll remain in a neutral space for the spine. Whether we're seated or lying down, we're going to take the arms out a little under shoulder height, palms facing forward. And just start to move through the fingers and the wrists a little bit, opening the space of the joints. Bending the arms at the elbows, taking the hands toward the shoulders. And then pressing the arms back against the floor or out behind us if we're seated. Maybe raising the chin level with the floor and taking the head side to side. We're on the floor, chin is toward the ceiling. And we'll release the arms into whatever position feels good. If we're on the floor, feet are already on the floor and knees are bent. If we're seated, we just take the feet out to the floor in front of us, maybe relaxing the arms behind us into a reclined position and just letting the knees slowly relax side to side. Maybe continuing with that nice slow breath. And then we'll release. If we're on the floor, we're going to come up to seated, taking the feet out nice and long in front of us. Knees are soft. If this is a little much on the back, we can keep the legs a little further apart with much more bend in the knee to help us keep that weight forward. Letting the back of the legs start to feel a stretch wherever we are. Maybe for you that means pressing the arms behind us and pressing the chest forward. Maybe that means relaxing the arms forward, keeping the knees soft. We're going to take the feet and press the balls of the feet forward, almost like we're stepping on a gas pedal. Noticing how that starts to stretch through the backs of the legs, engaging through the front of the legs just a little. Wherever we are, chin is level with the floor, chest is up. And just a note that if we're feeling a lot of pressure in that low back, we need to lift that chest so that the tailbone isn't tucked under, but lifted up away from that slouch posture. If that means bending the knees more and pressing forward, we can do that. You can always do this seated in a chair too, just stretching the legs out to the floor in front of us as we lean forward, getting back into the backs of the hamstrings. One more breath here. And we'll take the right leg in, foot toward the knee. And then take the side of the foot to the floor, trying not to rest the top of the foot on the floor. Notice how that kind of lifts the knee, but just letting it relax toward the floor. We want that hip space to be level on right side to left side, so we're not shifting the hips and the pelvis. And again, keeping that chest and chin up. Maybe that means the knee is still bent and we're leaning forward, hands behind us. Maybe that means the knee can soften toward the floor as we lean forward. We're not rounding again through the spine. Nice tall spine here. One more breath. And we'll inhale the chest up, taking the ankle over that leg above the kneecap, maybe giving the ankle a little movement. Some people like to take their fingers and interlace them between the toes, giving those a little stretch as well. Keeping those pelvis bones level, both sitting bones equally pressing into the floor, keeping the spine tall, leaning forward, hopefully feeling a little stretch on that bent leg hip. And again, if this needs to, you can keep that knee somewhat bent. Maybe for you that means reclining back away from the stretch. This is a tight space for you. Maybe we can lean forward. Nice big breaths here, all the way to the belly. Our pigeon stretch. And then inhale up, bringing that foot toward the floor and letting it come out. Meet the other side, bringing the other side in. Again, pinky toe side of the foot on the floor. Trying not to shift the pelvis or the hips, keeping them nice and level. Relaxing that leg and knee as much as it can. Keeping the long leg toes toward the ceiling. Trying not to let the leg fall open. Nice lifted spine. Maybe leaning forward if we can. Again, maybe the hands are behind us. Looking for a nice stretch on the back side of the straight leg and across that hip. And maybe even into the groin and that bent knee. Trying not to round through the spine. Keeping it nice and long. Not to collapse. One more breath here. And inhale the chest up, bringing that foot across the leg, maybe interlacing the fingers between the toes, or maybe just moving that ankle. Finding some relaxation first. And we'll release, letting the leg soften toward the floor as much as it can. Again, lifting through the spine as we lean gently forward any amount into this pigeon. Or if we're super tight, reclining away, getting that stretch across that left hip, maybe through the glute. See if we can come back to those long, slow breaths. through the nose. Maybe a gentle smile makes it easier. Last breath here. Inhaling the head and chest up. And take the foot forward. Both legs nice and long. Gentle press through the balls of the feet, keeping the knees soft. Chest and chin lifted, shoulders relaxed. As we inhale, think about lengthening the spine. As we exhale, think about reaching forward. Hands can be behind to help with the press, or they can be in front for weight. Wherever we are, relaxing that body forward, keeping most of the stretch in the back of the legs still here. And then on the next exhale, we're going to go ahead and round through the spine, letting the back start to stretch, dropping the head toward the legs, letting the chin drop toward the chest if we can, feeling the length all the way from the tailbone to the back of the neck. Nice, slow, deep, even breaths. Keeping the backs of the knees soft. One more breath. And then inhale up with the head and chest. Bringing the knees into a bent position, feet on the floor, letting them rock slowly side to side. Windshield wiper, just letting that back start to find some space. And bringing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees drop wide. We can stay in this reclined position if that feels right for you. Or we can start to press the chest and chin forward, or even bring the hands forward, keeping that spine long at first. Also, you can explore how close you want the heels toward the groin, or how far away the heels want to be. Changes the way it feels in the groin and the legs, and the hips even. One more big breath, letting the legs fall open to the side, relaxing through the inner thighs, the hips, and the groins as much as we can. And we'll go ahead and exhale, rounding the body over. And inhaling back up. And then take the knees in. And take the feet over to one side. One leg comes out to the back. The other folds in toward the other knee. Notice how that probably lifts up through one sitting bone. Should start to feel a stretch on the inner part of the hip joint or the groin or the thigh on this outer leg. The inner leg probably feeling a little stretch across the outer hip or glute. We call these deer legs. One big breath here. And we'll switch to the other side. Bringing the knees to the front and then leaning to the other side. Opposite leg comes to the outside, feeling that stretch across the inner hip joint space. And then the front leg feeling it on the outer side. Nice big breath to the belly, ribs, and chest. if there's any tension that we're holding or bracing that we're doing that we can relax. And we'll inhale the knees back to front. From here, I'm going to move into an abdominal pose, the boat pose. So inhaling as we lift the chest, and we'll lean back. Hands can support if needed. Think about pulling the pelvic floor up toward the belly space. The same muscles we use to stop the flow of urine, gently pulling them up into the pelvis, giving us a nice foundation for the abs, and then the belly button up back toward the ribs and the spine, keeping the chest open, trying not to collapse here. Maybe the hands come forward, maybe they still need a little space. Maybe we can lift the legs off the floor, or maybe just one. Maybe we reach them parallel to the floor with the shins. Maybe they come all the way up into a full boat. Finding that pose, taking a breath or two, and then relaxing back down if we need it. Otherwise, just holding as long as the body is allowing it. Wherever we are, I'm going to do one more full breath in and out. Relax the legs down all the way. And I'll relax the chest toward the thighs, letting the head drop. Softening the body, taking a nice deep breath. If the belly needs a little more space here, we can take the feet out a little wider. Maybe wrapping the arms a little higher on the knees. Our goal here is to allow the body to soften, finding that space for the breath again. Nice long exhale. And we'll inhale the head and chest up and turn over onto our belly. Starting to stretch through the front side of the body. Legs are about hip distance apart, and reaching back through the balls of the feet. Feeling a gentle pull up through the kneecaps and the fronts of the thighs. Thinking about taking the belly up long toward the ribs, lengthening the spine, taking any pressure off of that low back, elbows underneath the shoulders, palms and fingers pressing toward the floor, maybe even thinking about dragging back the elbows and the hands, even though they don't move. Starts to pull the chest forward, keeping the spine long, chin level with the floor if we can. And think about rolling the shoulder blades toward each other. One more breath here in Sphinx pose. And then we'll release down toward the floor with the chest, bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders, elbows tucked. We're going to place the forehead on the floor and then start to squeeze the glutes and raise the legs as much as we can off the floor. Holding that squeeze for one more breath. Heels reaching toward each other. And then release toward the floor. This time, keeping the elbows tucked in, we're going to inhale as we lift the chest, trying to place as little weight on the hands as we can, using mostly the back muscles to help lift us up. Abs engaged, lifting those belly muscles up toward the ribs. And then release. This time the arms come back, palms face the ceiling at the hip space. We're going to lift the chest and arms, squeeze the legs for our full locust pose. Everything reaching toward the ceiling. 3, 2, 1, and release. Let the head relax toward the floor, turning the cheek, looking over one side. Relax the legs, maybe give them a little shake in and out. Finding some space to relax through the hips and the arms, shoulders, and face. One more breath on this side. And we'll turn the palms to the floor, reach them out about shoulder height, turning the head in the opposite direction. Relaxing the face and shoulders. Last breath here. And we'll bring the hands back under the shoulders, elbows tucked toward the body as we press up to hands and knees. Bringing the knees underneath the hips. Just one round of a full cat-cow here. Letting the body inhale as we arch, shoulders relax open. And exhale as we round, dropping the head toward the floor. And then finding that space, neutral spine. Nice. Reaching the right toes back against the floor, stretching the heel behind us for a calf stretch. Thinking about rolling those elbows back toward the ribs. That helps open up the shoulders. Pressing down into the fingers, keeping the pressure away from the wrists as much as we can. Nice. And then we'll inhale that knee back up. Same thing, left foot, toes to the floor, reaching the heel back behind us for the calf stretch. Knee comes back down. We'll move into our gate pose. Our hips, letting the right foot come out to the floor. Feeling pressure to the right ball of the foot and heel equally. Feeling pressure across the back knee. We can stay here, allowing that stretch to the inner thigh and the groin. Or if you'd like, you can come up onto the knee and foot, keeping a nice tall spine. We can stay right here. Or we can move into a little bit of an extra stretch for the hips and an engagement through the core. As we inhale, we'll reach long, bringing the opposite hand to the floor. Maybe reaching the hand on the ceiling side, long over the ear, palm toward the floor. Maybe as we exhale, we bring the body up, stretching long in the opposite direction. Hands can be anywhere except for on the knee itself. Try not to collapse forward here, but keep a nice tall spine. Elbow reaching up toward the ceiling. And then we'll settle back into the center, coming back down if we're up. Bringing that foot back underneath. Settling into the center as we reach that left side out long. Ball of the foot and heel pressing equally. Maybe staying here, maybe coming up. Maybe adding on. Reaching long. Feeling a nice stretch across the whole top side of the body if we're here. Maybe coming back up. Last breath. Coming to center and back down. And bringing the foot back in. Finding that nice neutral space. Taking the knees out wide, toes come together. We're sitting back into child's pose. Letting the hips settle toward the heels. If they don't reach all the way down, that's okay. Just let them hover. Reaching the arms out long in front of the shoulders, elbows relax, forehead softens toward the floor. Maybe it touches, maybe it just hangs. Our goal here is to see how much we can release, letting gravity pull us toward the floor. Our job is to focus on the breath, breathing all the way to the belly, ribs, and chest, feeling those deep spinal muscles start to open with the breath. One more breath here. And we'll inhale our body up to hands and knees. Bringing the knees back underneath. Staying in this table position, letting the elbows relax back toward the ribs. Taking a deep breath of transition here. Adjust my mat here. Maybe for you, we can tuck the toes, reach the hands forward, and move this into a downward facing dog. Pressing into the toes, reaching the hips back, starting to straighten through the knees. If the knees stay bent, that's okay. Still keeping those elbows wrapped toward the ribs as we press the fingers into the mat, pushing the chest back toward the hips. Keeping the heels pressing down toward the floor. They may touch, they may hover. And then walking the feet forward. Finding that forward fold. Bending the knees as much as we need to here. Shaking the head yes and no. And the next inhale, we want to press through the feet. Lift the belly as we inhale up, finding that mountain pose. Oh, as always, our mountain pose is nice and firm through the foundation of our feet. Balls of the feet and heels pressing equally. Feet, knees, and hips in a nice straight line. Feel free to explore with that cat-cow position in the pelvis until you feel a nice neutral space for the back. Just like we did when we wrapped those elbows back toward the ribs, when we were on our hands and knees, same thing in mountain pose. The whole arm rotates, letting the shoulders feel open. Adjust my camera here. I'm going to move this into our half sun salute. So moving up and down, letting the back side of the body start to stretch. Inhale, arms come out and up. Exhale, fold, bending the knees as much as we need to. Inhale, halfway up, flat back. Exhale, fold. Keeping the feet pressing. Inhale, arms come out and up. Exhale as we fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way. Last one like this. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Pressing with the feet. Inhale all the way. This time we exhale, sitting back into chair, still keeping the feet pressing through the balls of the feet and the heels. Knees stay on top of the arches or the heels, and the hips settle back. Nice neutral spine, belly lifted toward the ribs, shoulders relaxed in the sockets. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way. Adding on. Exhale into that chair pose. Inhale, lift. Exhale, we're going to reach that back, right leg back, finding our crescent warrior. Right knee or left knee stays over that left ankle or arch, pressing through the ball of the foot and the heel. Even the back heel is pressing, even when it's not touching. Nice. Relaxing down on the exhale. Maybe that back knee needs to come down. We're going to reach back behind us. Maybe we stay in this plank as we reach the chest forward of the fingers. Maybe the feet and knees start to come up. And then we'll bring the chest down, chin down. Relax to the floor and inhale into cobra. Elbows stay lifted away from the floor. Exhale down, tuck the toes. Maybe reaching back through the knees into downward dog. This time we exhale as we bring the right foot forward. Maybe that left knee needs to be on the floor. Reaching as we start to press up. Or maybe we can come all the way forward from here. Crescent warrior. Last breath here. Start to straighten through that back knee as much as we can. And then release the arms, bringing that back foot in. Inhaling into chair. Last one. And next inhale brings us up. Exhaling through mountain. Time we take our feet nice and wide. Right toes point out, finding our warrior two position. Knees stacked over ankle or arch, both feet pressing through the balls of the feet and the heels. Gentle lift through the belly and chest. Taking palms toward the ceiling first. Feeling the openness of the shoulders here. And then keeping the shoulders open, turning just the palms to the floor, gaze over that right middle finger. Settle in. Maybe feeling the stretch across the front inner thigh, maybe through the back hip or glute. Shoulders reaching wide. Straightening through the front knee, finding this triangle pose. Maybe the arm comes down just to the thigh, maybe the shin, maybe the ankle, maybe the floor. Wherever we are, both feet are pressing equally. Chest tries to stay open toward the front wall or the ceiling. Nice strong spine, reaching long from the tailbone up to the crown of the head. Last breath here. Inhaling up, bringing the toes in, turning the left toes out, finding that space for warrior two legs, pressing to both feet equally, rolling those thighs open, lifting through the chest and the belly. Palms come out and up, keeping those shoulders nice and wide. Then we just turn the forearms and palms down. Gazes over the left middle finger. If we look down, that knee is pointing toward middle toes. One more breath here. Straightening through the front knee, bending into our triangle pose. Maybe for you that means the hand stays here and the arm on top stays on the hip. Maybe we can reach lower. Keeping Keeping both sides of the body reaching. Keeping the chest twisting forward and toward the ceiling. Neck is long on the spine. Both feet pressing equally. One more breath here. And inhaling as we come up, bringing the toes around. Bringing the feet in just a little bit. Feet at a 45-degree angle here. And move this into our star pose. Bringing the palms forward, reaching diagonally through the arms and shoulders. And think about pressing through the feet, reaching through the fingers and lifting through the crown of the head, keeping every body part reaching away from center, getting nice and big. One more breath. And then from here, we're going to move one foot in, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to start with my right foot, centering my weight on the left. We're going to reach maybe that right toe to the floor. Maybe it can lift. Falling star, working with the balance here. Again, reaching long in every direction. 3, 2, 1. And then coming back down with the leg, tilting to the other side, reaching long in every direction. Maybe that leg can lift as we start to tilt that falling star. 3, 2, 1, and then release. Finding that mountain pose, feet, knees, hips in alignment. Arms are open, chest shoulders wide, head is tall, feeling balanced on the spine, trying not to squeeze the muscles, but just allowing the space to slowly get in alignment. Starting to breathe into the belly, ribs, and chest. Taking this into a wide squat, keeping the feet out a little wider than hip width. We start to bend the knees. Try not to let the knees come forward, but shifting the hips back, reaching the hips back behind us, down toward the floor, keeping weight on the balls of the feet and the heels. Trying not to let the feet roll out to the side, but keeping some of the weight on that big toe mound of the ball of the foot. Maybe the arms can come inside of the legs and we squeeze the knees and elbows toward each other. Keeping the spine tall, lifting the chin, chest is lifted, tailbone is reaching toward the floor. If this is a little much, we can always come here for a wide squat, supporting the arms and the upper body on the sides. Maybe for you that means challenging and reaching forward if the legs and hips don't want to come down that far. And then wherever we are, relaxing the body down to the floor in whatever way feels best for you, most supportive. Rolling back, feet underneath the knees. Just allow those windshield wipers to relax that low back space. Want a little extra stretch for the arms and shoulders, you can take the hands behind the head while we do this. Not necessary, but it's an option. And move into a different pigeon stretch than we did before. So taking the right ankle over the left knee and just letting the legs fall over to the left. Hands can still stay behind the head. Some people like to stretch them wide. As we turn the head to the right, feeling a nice stretch across that top hip and maybe into the glute. See if we can focus on the breath again. We'll inhale the knees back to center and uncross, settling everything back to center, switching sides. If the knee has any kind of tension, making sure the toes flex back toward the shin and the little toe side of the foot presses toward that knee. Letting the legs rock over to the right as much as they can. Maybe they just hover, maybe they can reach the floor. And again, looking over at the left for balance and twist. Softening the body down. Coming back to the breath. Relaxing the thighs and the hips. We'll inhale the legs back to center. Releasing the foot to the floor. Taking a long stretch head to toe. And then we'll have one more stretch before we start our relaxation. Feet are back underneath the knees, pulling the belly toward the ribs, squeezing the glutes. We're going to lift into bridge. Maybe your bridge is down here. Maybe you can squeeze the bridge all the way up toward the ceiling, trying to keep the knees in line with the hips, trying not to let the knees spread. Shoulders are nice and wide, chin stays reaching toward the ceiling. We don't want to tuck the chin here. Nice big breath here. And release back down. Maybe give one or both knees a little hug toward the chest. Maybe they come all the way in. Maybe they stay out here. Maybe they want little circles. Or just a rock side to side. Softening the space across the glutes and the low back. And then we're going to relax into our final resting pose, our savasana pose or corpse pose. If the low back is feeling like it is still a little tender, we can keep the knees bent. Sometimes the feet coming out to the edge and letting the knees rock toward each other feels nice and supportive. Sometimes people just like to let them hang here and that feels good for them. Sometimes people like to bring the soles of the feet together, and we can do a full traditional savasana, letting the palms come toward the ceiling, letting the feet relax out long, allowing the body to start to rest in this position. I'm going to come into my chair and do your meditation. Feel free to stay right where you are. You don't have to move. Starting to release the body, letting the weight be supported by the floor, finding a softness across the face, releasing the eyes and the sockets, softening the cheeks, the ears, and the scalp toward the floor. Finding a softness from the tongue, letting the teeth come apart, top to bottom. Finding a softness across the jaw as it also hangs toward the floor. releasing any tension through the throat and the neck, softening across the chest and the shoulders, letting them feel wide and soft. Finding that release from the shoulders down through the palms and fingers. Letting the heaviness of the arms soften the shoulders back toward the floor. Finding that softness through the rib cage. Imagining the ribs softening the space between. Letting the breath come in and out easily, expanding and releasing the expansion. Softening down through the belly, letting the belly almost drop out of the way, letting the breath take up the room it needs. Releasing down through the pelvis, finding a softness through the pelvic floor and the groin, letting the hips start to settle as we release the glutes, letting them soften against the floor. Finding that same softness move down into the thighs, the knees, and the shins and calves. Releasing any tension through the ankles, the Achilles tendon, and through the feet. Letting the toes soften as well. Imagining the body getting a little taller, a little wider, a little deeper. Letting us have as much space as we feel we require at this moment. And imagine as the breath comes into the body, that's creating even more space. And as it releases from the body, imagine it taking all of the tension, the density away. Finding that it's bringing an energetic flow into the body. We inhale that space and lightness. We exhale density and tension. Maybe even starting to feel that energy flow through the body, almost like circulation. Bringing that space and releasing tension to the furthest extremities and letting it come out the breath. Just settling into that space, releasing the focus and control over the breath and energy, and just letting the body settle into this new optimized space until the next time you hear my voice. Gently starting to bring awareness back to the space, feeling the body and the parts touching the floor, feeling free to make any final movements of transition that feel right for you. Maybe the head likes to turn, maybe the shoulders like to roll, maybe just the fingers and wrists like to move. Maybe the feet would like to come to the floor with knees bent, maybe pulling the knees in toward the chest, maybe just windshield wipering the feet and knees from side to side. Maybe eventually making our way up to seated. I like to end with the Om Shanti chant. Shanti means peace. So whatever that peace means for you, maybe that's peace and harmony through the systems of the body. Maybe it's peace through the mind or the thoughts. Maybe it's just ease and comfort through the joints of the body. Whatever that is, make room to allow it to come into you. Feel free to chant with me or just listen and receive. Inhaling. Shanti. 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 May the blessings of peace move into your space, your body, your mind, your spirit, and settle there. Namaste. Have a wonderful day, everyone.